The volunteers who support our students, our volunteer readers, our other volunteers that come in the building, they're an extension and another layer of opportunity for students to engage in a relationship with a caring adult.
Volunteers have an enormous impact, I think, on students' health and well-being in our entire community.
Just even simple things like making copies, it's a huge help to teachers and allows the teacher then to spend more time maybe preparing or working with kids.
Any extra hands at, feeding time or transition time is tremendously helpful.
In order for us to provide opportunities for kids and give them real lasting experiences, we need that little extra.
Here at Stevenson, 68% of our kids receive Title I services for reading, which you can see requires a lot of manpower to help these kids.
We have a lot of volunteers that help us with academic support. We have parents that come in that do enrichment groups with kids. We have parents that come in and do remedial support with kids. We have parents that come in and do sort of daily things with teachers.
Volunteers specifically increase the probability that we can make generational change here at Fridley Middle School by connecting students to caring adults.
Kids are watching, and it's a great way to teach. We need to teach kids how to be active and involved, because some kids don't have that. For many different reasons, parents often can't be involved. But the ones who are do make a difference to those kids, and those kids notice it.
So many families now are distant, relatives that live all over. So a lot of little kiddos don't have grandparents in town. Even so, again, when we have the seniors that help us, I think for a lot of them that kind of becomes like almost a surrogate grandma, grandpa kind of thing. So it's kind of cool too.
When I think about being a teaching and learning institution, it helps our students understand the power of volunteers, and that it's more of just people giving time. Hopefully it's a learning opportunity for them as well.
High school kids don't come up and say, "Gee, thanks Mom and Dad for helping out and serving ice cream sodas." They say thank you about 15 years, 20 years later when they're doing it for their own kids. And that's when they figure it out. And more than likely, kids who come from parents who are involved will be involved parents.
Volunteers are critical to what we want to do, and they extend our ability to have a positive impact on kids and, quite frankly, increase the probability that we can make generational change for kids.
When I think of volunteers, I think of the time and the effort, them willing to come in and share with us a piece of who they are, but a great way for them to get to know a little more about who we are, and together making our community stronger.
I'm incredibly grateful for our volunteers and all the people that step into the building to help out with kids, to help out with programs, to help with teachers.
You extend the work we do, you extend the impact we have on kids, and you certainly extend the societal good that schools work to do on a daily basis. Thank you.
I'm just eternally grateful for their commitment and their willingness to help us make this a better place for kids.
Thank you. If we could only give you in gold what you're worth, you would be rich.
For volunteers who have come in and helped us, whether it's be tutoring or working through some of these organizations or donating time and money into our school system, a thank you I could never begin to thank them enough.
We've received donations for our hats, mittens, gloves, boots, books. I hope with just some of the things that I've mentioned that you feel the sincerity of our thanks. Thank you. So, our volunteers are just like everyone else out here. They just do a hodgepodge of things at our school. And I was just talking to Carol over here, and I said, "So Carol, whose classroom do you end up in? And she said, well, my daughter's in Ericsford. I said, but I always see you everywhere else. I see you at the box top store. I see you making copies. And she said, well, what happens is I come in thinking I'm going to Ericsford's room, and I end up, someone says, hey, will you make these copies? And just doing things on the fly with her. So anyhow, we really can't say enough about, we're outnumbered. We're outnumbered at Stevenson. There's about 600 kids there, and we need the help. And these are some of the people that come in and just lend us a hand, and I'm sure they, like I heard some of the video things saying, is they don't really think it's that big a deal. But when you're buried in kids and in needs, it really is a huge help. And so I'd just like to thank these guys and recognize them. First of all, we have a few that, oh, there's Marion. I hope you're on top. This is Marion. No, Marion is not here, is she? Marion Bernard works with her daughter, who is a second grade teacher, and joins us about every weekend there, helping her daughter, Becky Thompson. Next up, I have a certificate for Ashley. Ashley has a kindergarten parent at Stevenson, works in Mrs. Tusignan's room. You can step over here. And again, 24 kindergartners. That teacher just loves when she shows up in there and lends her a hand. Thank you, Ashley. Thank you. Sharon, you want to, Sharon helps. Again, classroom helper. I see Sharon in the hallways, reading with kids, one-on-one. And I know the kids love the attention they get and the instruction they get reading to her. So thank you, Sharon. This is Carol, and you can see when Carol walks in the door, her smile just lights the place up. It honestly does. She showed up with very expensive cupcakes yesterday for some of us, and that was much appreciated. Just a jack of all trades at our school. Carol, we love having you around. Thank you. Carol Nolan. Carol is a former teacher. Like 30 years, right? 20 years of an elementary teacher, and we put those skills to good use. She comes in and helps kids with their reading. Thank you, Carol. Next up is Alicia. Alicia Peel. They do just a lot of little things around Stevenson, whether it be in the classroom, or she has a husband, Jerry, who actually shows up after school and teaches coding to some of our kids. Jerry's out of town right now, but just the family's been involved with Stevenson a long time, and we sure appreciate all the things you do that go unnoticed. Thank you, Alicia. Priyanka. Priyanka, I thought she had a preschooler because I see her in the preschool room as well as our kindergarten rooms. But she said, no, I just like the preschoolers. So she stops in there. And she has had a string of kids in our school, and it looks like we're going to have her for a while, right? So we love having Priyanka. Thank you for all your help and support. Carol. You get two?
I don't have the wrong name.
Oh, maybe you should present that one. Come on. Okay, Sue, you're done. So Sue is Mike Kozark's mother, in just about every week in our fourth grades, doing everything for them, helping out the whole grade level, actually, not just Mike doesn't have sole ownership of her, but I know Mike appreciates the help. We appreciate the help, and she does a lot of work to help us just keep things going in fourth grade. Thank you. Thank you. And then Doug, I'm just going to look. Yep. So this is Doug Haugland. Doug helps out all around our school. Some in fourth grade. This is Mike's father-in-law, but I see him more in first grade. I think I think Andy Dowers kind of got dibs on Doug, because Doug does Andy Dowers like gardening at home also, along with helping him in the classroom. So I know you and Andy have just formed a wonderful partnership, and Mike wants you to know that he's not jealous. Okay, so thanks to the Stevenson volunteers. How about a hand for them?
Hi, I'm Dan Roth, the Activities Director for the district. This is my sidekick here. Why don't you go on this side? Kelly McConville, the Assistant Principal. We are filling in for Renee Van Garp. It takes two of us to fill her shoes. So Renee had an accident this last week, and she had some surgery on hands, and she's retiring, and so we got to figure it out how to get going without her. So she's given us a few weeks to kind of get it going. So what I'd like to do is first talk about, we have a volunteer from the high school that his name is Brian Montague. And Brian, if you want to come up, and you want to bring Daniel with you? He'll stay there. Okay. And why don't the rest of the people come on up who are with the high school and activities? Especially that table right there. Brian, thank you for your work as clergy in the area, and we have some of our churches partnered and helped out with. They had a little feed at one of our spring conferences, and it was. I know you do some other work with our kids in the probably behind the scenes for us, and we appreciate that, because that kind of support. Our kids are really going through times of change for them, and they're really questioning a lot of things. And we need those partnerships at this time in their lives, and we thank you for being there. So thank you. Yeah, go ahead. Okay, I'm just going to treat this foursome as a onesome. This kind of epitomizes a little bit of what parents and family members do for a lot of our activities behind the scenes. We can't function without the support that they give, and for the most part, we need to raise some money, and that isn't always fun, sexy stuff. That's hard grinding work behind, and kids, it's very competitive today, and unfortunately, we've created a society where kids now think that they need to be buying things and need to have things. And it's literally today, and we're having these conversations, is kids now coming into ninth grade look at the uniforms. When we grew up, it was handed down, and you were in ninth grade and you got what was left, and you knew someday if you got up to that varsity, you might get that nice shiny uniform. It's not that way now. Kids look at the ninth grade and they go, "Whoa, I have better ones on my travel team," or "That school has better." And that's the kind of underlying competition in the lens that we have. And so it's a truth that we have part of the teaching process. And if we don't have people like this who work on our golf tournament, put in time to feed our kids before our games, we do things like that. And I got to tell you, these guys are wonderful. And I always remind them is to say, and parents, young parents, this is part of your experience, is parenting your kids through the schools. And each gateway is fun and it's exciting, but it's different. And I'm here to tell you, as an old guy, it doesn't stop. When they go into adulthood, there's still parenting opportunities there. But in terms of high school, this is your high school experience as a parent of a high school student. You only get one time through that. And the people who make the most of it, I think, are the ones who get involved. And so those of you who are young and doing it, expect it to keep happening, because we do really, really need it. Because a lot of parents think they need to fall off, because kids at that age they don't like being around their parents, but they like their parents there. They'll never tell you that. These guys figured it out. Hats off to you. I am endlessly thankful for all the work you do. I appreciate it, and it's fun for me to be able to have a personal relationship that way too, because I can say hi and I know their names and they say hi back to me. So thank you very much. Kelly.
Morning, everybody. I'm John Piotrowski. I'm the principal at Hayes Elementary, and I'm going to spend a couple minutes here bragging on some of my friends here. If I would have done this well, I would have lined them up in perfect order that are, as the certificates go. Now they're really throwing me off here. I want to say a couple things. As I look at our group, our representatives this morning, there's sort of two pieces to it. We have a lot of our PTO folks here, and they do endless work throughout the school year. And I had an experience lately that was sort of maybe captivates that comment. We had a carnival. We have a carnival every year, and last couple of years we've chosen to do it on a Friday night, and it's been incredibly successful. And there was a carnival meeting, a gathering after school one day, and I was in my office, and our conference room and my office are adjacent, and just listening to the energy and the conversation, I just sat back and smiled. Because these guys put in endless amounts of time getting it ready, and it makes such a big difference. One of the pieces that they help us do every year is they provide Springbrook experiences for our kids, and it happens, I think, in both elementaries. So all of the kids get to go to Springbrook once in the fall, once in the spring, and then Springbrook comes to see us. And PTO makes that program possible. So there's a number of roles within that. And then our second group of people are some of our volunteers that do all kinds of different things. And Mr. Vossler mentioned that. They work in classrooms with teachers. They do tutoring. They do copies. You might not think that's a very difficult thing, but ask a teacher how important it is when somebody makes copies. Man, it saves your life some days. So all of these folks are doing great things. So what I'm going to do is I'll kind of talk about my friends here, and then I'll maybe pass out the certificates. So we've got Julie and Alina and Carrie and Cindy are part of our PTO. And Carrie actually was our president for a couple of years and is kind of hanging around now just to make sure everything's done okay. And then she's going to take off for the middle school. So Matt, she's coming your way. Alina takes care of our spiritware. Julie's been our treasurer, and Cindy's been sort of a co-chair president this year. And they all participate really in everything related to the PTO. And you'll see them also doing other things throughout our school. They volunteer periodically with classrooms and whatnot. Amber has actually been pretty much aligned with third grade this year, haven't you? Mrs. Hall's room and doing.
I'm gonna do my copy school first grade.
Yeah, Yep. So she's been faithfully doing that all year long, and that's been wonderful to do that. Dawson sometimes I think he's at school more than I am. I walk around the school. What are you doing here again? He's reading with kids in the hallway. The next day he's on a field trip, and so he does all kinds of things for us, and I know that you've done some things behind the scenes with programs too, size of t-shirts and things like that. So it's sort of like one of those things, anybody need anything done, Dawson's hand goes up, and he's usually there to help us out, so we appreciate that. Mike and Judy Zerbe, I said to them this morning when they came in, I said, you guys, are we going to have to pay for your carpal tunnel surgery coming up pretty soon? Because they hang about 40,000 pieces of art every year. And if you've ever been to Hayes during the middle of the year, our hallways are lined with the artwork of our kids. And their daughter just happens to be our art teacher. So they help her out. Last night we had about 200 pieces of artwork hanging at the high school auditorium. Every one of them was in a frame. Guess who made the frames? Guess who did the framing? So, and kiddingly, it's the one thing the fire marshal comments about every once in a while. You're covering up a lot of your walls there. It's everywhere, isn't it beautiful? And you sidetrack him and he forgets about the fire company. So, thank you very much for that. And then Connie and Dave Yerrigan have been faithful volunteers at Hayes doing lots of things. I typically see them together on Fridays making copies. And I think didn't you say that you're signed up for next year, even though you're moving on to the middle school? So Matt, sorry you'll have to wait another year. So, but let's give our Hayes volunteers a round of applause.
Yeah, I still have your belt.
Good morning. I'm Tony Kraft, Community Ed Director. I have two volunteers actually to recognize today, one of whom is not with us. So first of all, Fataneh Husseini has volunteered in our 3-year-old preschool classroom. She's out of the country right now, but just want to thank her for the work she's done. But who I have here with me today is Linda McClellan. And both of these volunteers I'm highlighting work with our youngest learners, and so they work with the pictures you saw in the video, the little ones. They have that opportunity to just touch lives at a very early age. So Linda has worked with us in the Early Childhood Family Ed Creative Play Center. She first came to us about 8 years ago, actually as a grandma, with, first of all, with one grandchild, and then with her second grandchild. So I've known Linda for 8 years as a participant, first of all, and she came very regularly to the Play Center with her 2 grandchildren. And when they were old enough to go to school, she continued on with us. So she now comes in once a week to our Creative Play Center. She's very good at crafts, so that's one of her specialties in our Creative Play Center, is helping kiddos with crafts. She's actually just great as a support person, because a lot of parents come with 1 or 2 or 3 children. So if a parent is dealing with a baby, she might step in and help their preschooler or toddler. Sometimes if the parent wants to spend alone time with their toddler or preschooler, she's holding the baby. She sat at the table, she wipes a lot of noses. Basically, she steps in and does whatever needs to be done. The other thing is she's a great role model for some of the parents who are first-time parents. And obviously, she's got lots of experience as a parent and a grandparent. So we really appreciate all the support that Linda's given to our Creative Play Center. So thank you, Linda.
All right, middle school people, come on up front. Okay. So you heard me talk about in the video, and I'm going to share a concept that leads me or guides my thinking about volunteers. A few years ago, I was asked in an interview how we define what our number of at-risk students were in the building. And my definition at that time, and continues to be today, is any kid that walks our halls and fails to have contact with a caring adult is a student at risk. And so that is our definition of a student at risk. And what's important about our volunteers and the people who are up here today is they give their time to diminish that number. They make a strong impact in making sure that kids have a greater opportunity to be in contact with students, with a caring adult. So I'd like to start by talking about 4 people. If Haley and Josh would slide down this way. I have people up here who are kind of volunteers. As a social studies teacher, former teacher, I would tell you a better title for them is they are indentured servants. Indentured servitude is where you serve for a period of time and then you're given your freedom and or something else, historically land and a mule. Well, I don't have either of those to offer. But the folks up here, they are AmeriCorps and Math Corps volunteers. And so they get a pittance. Really not enough to live on, and then they get an educational benefit at the end. And in the meanwhile, we get 4 people who give every day to kids, who develop very strong relationships with kids, who have transformative power in students' lives, and are able to be that other voice, that other person that understands me and makes learning possible for a lot of our kids. And so for us, they are invaluable to what we do, and they've made a tremendous impact on our building. So before I even introduce them, can we give them a round of applause? So Haley, we've also kind of corrupted their thinking in their time with us because Haley has decided after this year of spending time with kids that she wants to go off back to school and pursue psychology. Mm-hmm. And, oh, thank you.
So in their time and in their investment with children, I think we've helped shape what they're thinking about in their career. We're going to talk about that with each of them. Let me hand the certificate out. Is it? Hiding in the middle. Okay, we may have to hold off on that. Thank you. And next we have Bethany. Bethany also has spent her time with us, and she has decided as a result of that to go into social work. And so she's heading off to St. Cloud to go pursue a degree in social work. If we can give her, both of them, a round of applause. We'll keep it moving, okay? John Douglas has joined us this year, and he has decided, like Bethany last year, to stick around for another year. So he's going to give to the students at Fridley Middle School for 2 years. And then he's going back to school to be a teacher. And then Josh joined us this year, partway through the year, already planning to be a teacher, but decided that this was the best way to prepare him before he goes off and teaches 40 miles south of Moscow next year. So he's leaving us to go there, but he has said just today that it's been very valuable in really wrapping his mind around what this job really means. So if we could give a round of applause all the way now. I save the people that I can hug for last because these people are kind of employees. So we have a few parents that we know we can call on for anything we need, whatever it is. And they also do this weird thing, like they show up and donate things like donuts for staff, or they show up at any time we open the doors and there's something going on. Their kids are involved in lots of things, and so they're always there as parents, but they're always looking for ways to give back. And so I have three, one seated over here who the superintendent's going to introduce. Thank you, Gina. But these are three people that we absolutely can count on. Just recently I called and said, hey, I really need somebody for the 5th grade. And Gina said, it's like 3 days from now. And I said, yes, but I really need you. And she said, I'll be there. So Jan, Gina, and Angie are people that we absolutely adore. And they are so committed to Fridley Public Schools. And I know that this goes all the way back to elementary. And I'm certain, and I know for Jan, it goes all the way into high school. And so they've been a model for parents who are just deeply committed to their kids, their schools, which is one of the things I'm most proud about working in Fridley, is that this is a community that while a third of the students that walk the halls may not be from Fridley, this is a community that is dedicated to their schools. It was good for my kids, it was good for my grandkids, and I'm committed to this school. And that is truly a hallmark of this community. And it's certainly a hallmark of the 3 volunteers I have up here, and we greatly appreciate it. So we could give them a great round of applause while I give them a hug. Now I'll try and sort out the certificates.
Down in front row.
I'd like to come up one more time. I'd like to call a personal foul on myself, flagrant misconduct. Jessica Baker, if you'd come up, we have a special activities presentation. So, Mary? Jessica, come on up.
Hello, I'm Jessica Baker. I wear a few different hats in the district, but I'm here right now as in the role of Key Club advisor to thank Mary Bowen for her work volunteering. We all share Mary. She is a Kiwanian, and she helps advise our Key Club, teaching our students how to love service and how to be a leader and even teaches them how to do professional things like turning in reports and writing newspaper articles, and just helps our kids do a lot of growing up. And also in the past year or so, she's helped start with Blair Berger a builders club at the middle school. So now we have 4 more years of students learning from Mary how to love service and how to be leaders, and how to do good in their community. And I think now she's, with the Kiwanians, got herself involved with Stevenson, donating some books and possibly getting some painting done in the media center. And I know she helps out with the foundation as well. So we all share the benefit of Mary's full-time job as a Fridley Public Schools volunteer. So thank you so much, Mary, for 24 years of helping out our students. Thank you.
Okay, I have 5 very special women I would like to have come forward. Liz, Angie, Molly, Gina, and Carrie. You've seen some of these ladies up here already. And these are people that we contacted about a year ago at this time and said, you know, the district has decided to move forward with asking our public for a referendum for doing some badly needed repair on our buildings, and also making sure that our buildings are safe and secure. And so as district leadership, we kind of put on our thinking hats and said, okay, who should we talk to? Because as a district, we, by law, cannot advocate for the district other than just talking about what our needs are. And so we touched these people one by one and said, would you be willing to help out? And they didn't all know each other. A couple of them knew each other. And it was a remarkable year. From about June on, they worked tirelessly to get to the election day. And without them, my life would be very boring right now, because I would not have the opportunity to have incredible remodeling going on and additions going on in our 2 elementary schools. We are very, very fortunate to have a community that not only cares like all of you, but supports us. And these ladies helped make that happen with a most remarkable, nearly 80% approval rate. And so I really want to thank Molly. Ooh, and they're a good catch too. Molly Papillon, Carrie Hinnekamp, Liz Keeler, Gina Patton, and Angie Nolan. So thank them for me. I will tell you, that night on election night, we are all in the boardroom, and there was a lot of happy dancing going on. Was it about 8:30? No, it was a little later than that. Today, you have seen, and every time anyone has gotten up here, there's been one word that's consistent, and it's consistent with our IB learner profile, and that is caring. That's what happens with people like you. You care, and we see that day after day after day, and we are so grateful for that. I think it was John or Dan just said, you know, what a community we have, and we are very, very fortunate to have this place where people, regardless of background and where you've come from, we are here to support the kids and the families here at Fridley. And it's a very, very special place. You know that when you go out and you talk to people, someone will invariably say, Fridley? I know somebody who worked at Fridley. I know somebody who lives in Fridley. I know people that have been here, and people are connected and grounded to this community regardless of where they go. So thank you for being a part of that foundation. Thank you for being with us on this journey for our children. So again, I'm sure there's more food back there, but it's 8:03 and we said we were going to be out of here at 8. So thank you so much for coming this morning and thank you for what you do.